Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades, I hope you're doing good wherever you are. In this video, I want us to explore 4 possible outcomes resulting from AZIMIO's protests or mass protests or mandamano. What could be the 4 outcomes that happens as a result of AZIMIO, Mr. Raila Odinga and his brigade coming out to protest Ruto's victory, or as they put it, Ruto not meeting their demands. Let's take a look at them. But before I do, if you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and hit that like button and share, comment, and tell me what you think, all right? All right. What's Raila's endgame with all this mandamano shenanigans? We saw him today give a speech in his military kind of attire, which I thought was ridiculous, but that's besides the point. He came out, made a set of demands, and gave the way forward according to his supporters by saying they'll have mandamano all throughout the country, then they'll finally converge into Nairobi on March 20th, where they will have the massive, big, hugest, if there's a word as hugest, mandamano in Nairobi, where they'll march to the State House to forcefully remove Ruto. Now, what can possibly go wrong? What is their aim? Number 1, something that everybody suspects Raila is after, no doubtedly, handshake can be a result of all this. If AZIMIO carry out the plan of a countrywide mandamano, including nurses, doctors, teachers, and every other civil servants, if they are able to manage this kind of a huge mandamano countrywide, it might force Ruto's hand to come to the table and make a deal with Raila Odinga by offering Raila maybe a position of office of opposition, which will be constitutionally illegal. But it's a possibility, depending on how much pressure the government feels. It all depends with Ruto. Is he ready to cower and give in to AZIMIO's demands? Let's wait and see. The second possible outcome that may come as a result of this mandamano shenanigans might be pressure from the international community on AZIMIO leaders, mainly Raila Odinga, Kalonzo Musyoka, Martha Karua, and even Eugene Wamalwa. Remember, in 2007, when the international community intervened in Kenya, where we were heading to a civil war, it took Condoleezza Rice and Kofi Annan to come into the country to negotiate with the government of the day, to come together and form government of national unity. Remember, the government was really stubborn and they did not want to negotiate with ODM. But what happened was the British, along with Americans, had to slap some restrictions on some of the government leaders' sons, businesses, and sanctions basically, to have them to come and meet and agree on a shared government. Now, the US and the British has always vested interest in Kenya, and it is in their interest to make sure that Kenya is a stable country because of their need for help regarding Somalia and Congo. We just saw few months ago, Kenyan army was sent to Congo to help in peace missions there. Obviously, this is it's all in the interest of the Americans and the British for whatever reason they got. The third possible outcome that can come out of this mandamano shenanigans can be the AZIMIO as a political outfit morphing into new political vehicle for 2027. What might happen is this. Raila might go ahead and start his nationwide mandamano, and he can fail because from the looks of it, from now, not so many people are excited about the idea of going to the streets and protesting against Ruto's government. Yes, things are tough. The economy is not doing good, and so forth, but Ruto has just become the president, so it is only reasonable to give him time. Now, if Raila fails to galvanize his supporters from all corners of the country to come to Nairobi and march to the State House to remove Ruto, if he fails to do that, then what he can do to save face is form a new political outfit and say, hey, I'm starting my alternative government, opposition government, that will be used to check the government in power, and it will give people different positions in preparation for the next election, which is what, 2032? Is it 2032? Somebody help me, 5 years from now. 2023, yeah, 20-something, all right? So basically, he will form a new political outfit and have his hand-picked lieutenants in preparation for next election in a way to give his supporters, save face from his supporters as a result of not being successful in galvanizing his supporters to forcefully remove Ruto from the White House as he claimed before. So yes, that's the third possible outcome. The fourth possible outcome that can come as a result of this Mandamano shenanigans is one that everyone dreads, and that's carnage. Carnage in the form of civil unrest that can morph into a full-blown civil war. I've been saying this, and I've warned a lot of AZIMIO supporters. If you look at these rallies that they had in Jacaranda, Kakamega, Mombasa, Kisumu, there's some speakers, including Raila himself, that speak with a very inciting tone. And when I say incitement, it's incitement against the communities that are perceived to be pro-government. For example, the Kalenjins. And also, Kikuyus. Let's face it. Even though some Kikuyus are also in the AZIMIO, but there's that feeling among the AZIMIO supporters that these two tribes have been in power since independence. And there's growing unrest about that. Why do I say carnage or civil unrest or civil war? It always starts like this. If Raila succeeds, I know he's trying to galvanize, energize his supporters from all corners of the country. Whether it's Mombasa, Nairobi, Kisumu, possibly Nakuru, and elsewhere. If people are worked up, if it manages to blame the president and his government, succeed in making him look illegitimate, weak, he can simply get millions of people, thousands. It doesn't take much. Even a few thousands. If he goes to Nairobi and heads towards the State House in attempt to forcefully remove Ruto, what happens if Ruto disperses the security forces to deal with the protesters? This will be an ugly clash. It can start as people throwing stones against each other, the police forces shooting against the protesters. If the protesters turn violent, destructive, destroying properties, disrupting businesses. What happens then? Communities turning against other communities. It can get ugly. We can get back to where we were in 2007. And God forbid, let's not underrate or undermine or underestimate what these AZIMIO guys can do. Yes, they look like clowns as of now. And they don't seem to have they don't have any success right now. But with time, if things continue getting worse and people are jobless, Raila will be seen as that person who points at what is ailing the company, the country, rightfully or wrongfully. So those are the 4 things that can come as a result of this AZIMIO Mandamano business. The most likely one is this. The West, if they see this thing keeps on going and destabilizes the country and threatens the government of the day. Remember, Ruto is now favorable by the West. He's favored by the West because of his stance against, stance GMO stuff and other stuff, and the money he has borrowed. So they like him for that. But in the event that Raila and his supporters become a bigger threat, where he threatens the government, the most likely scenario is the West will have to clamp down on AZIMIO leaders. And Raila will be forced to stand down. And he will definitely do so, and by saving face, AZIMIO shall morph into a new political outfit where his followers will be kind of moved away from the violent, let's take out to Ruto by force mind state into, hey, we have a stake in the next elections. Here's the new political vehicle in which we can do so. And I think that's most likely way that this thing will end. Raila will be embarrassed. He won't succeed. And if he does make some sort of steps into success, the West shall intervene and he will be forced to stand down. Tell me if you agree with my analysis. Share, like, and most likely if you haven't subscribed, subscribe and tell me what you think this whole Mandamano thing will end up. How will it end up? Okay? This is Fabrizio Brumano. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace and blessings.